Feliz Navidad to everyone who celebrates, and Feliz Luz is Spanish for Happy Hanukkah. That's actually a lie. It's literally for Happy Night of Lights, which is kind of the same thing, but that's for all of you chosen people who light the menorah and celebrate. Full disclosure, my wife is part Jewish, so that does make me part of the tribe. I've married in. I'm pretty sure that's how the rules work. And also, it is not Hanukkah anymore. I believe as of this recording, the last night has already passed. So Hanukkah is done and over with. But I celebrate both holidays because I married into the tribe. So that's pretty cool. But that doesn't change the fact that it was celebrated. The menorah was lit. We have an 8-bit menorah. I don't know if you can see it in the background. If I move my head, actually, it's right there over my shoulder. That little thing flickering around is an 8-bit menorah.
Oh, very nice.
Bought that to celebrate the holidays back with my wife when we were dating. So there we go, a little bit of nerd culture right there. So how you guys doing? What do you guys? How have you been? Garrett? You've been adulting lately.
Oh, in the I don't know, the worst way, the best way, whatever. I bought a new car and it's not fun, and everything's dead. I'm dead inside. I don't know.
I hope you just bought the car. I hope
it's the least exciting thing nowadays. I think it's over. I'm too old. What are you gonna do?
You're never too old. It's the holidays. It's a magical time. It's Christmas. It's Hanukkah. Wait, are we allowed to say stuff like that on our podcast? I'm assuming that this podcast isn't like a super overly PC podcast where we can still mention Christmas and Hanukkah and other holidays. Sure. You guys aren't going to get offended Kwanzaa. If I mention it, right?
Don't forget the 7 days, dude. I learned about that in school.
What 7 days?
Of Kwanzaa. At least that's the song they taught us.
Okay.
Tim was there. Am I wrong, Tim?
This is a very...
I only learned about Johnny cakes and that you should bake them.
Ooh, that is true.
But that's more Christmas.
That's fair.
I want some Johnny cakes.
Well, comment of the year, we'll bake some Johnny cakes.
We'll bake some Johnny cakes. We'll send you Johnny cakes. Don't hold us to it. You're getting cookies. We said so last episode. Don't expect Johnny cakes.
They might be stale.
Just wanted to make sure that this podcast was cool with celebrating the holidays because we're a fun podcast like that.
Woohoo.
From Christmas to Hanukkah to Festivus, we celebrate it all. We are your jolly trio of lovable cynics, and we're here to talk about all that good stuff. My name is Berto, and I'm the oldest and Latinist of this group, and I am joined, as always, by my homies, starting with my homie to the left or the right, because we're doing this via video, so it doesn't matter which way. But going to you, Garrett. Garrett, how are you doing? We already got a little bit of what you've been doing, but how have you been?
Otherwise, good. Sweating because the building heat is up too high.
Oh my god! Don't.
But yeah, everything's good. I don't know. Holidays.
My building, the second it starts getting the hint of like the slightest bit cold, they just jack up the heat. We have to open all the windows.
Yeah,
it's like a furnace.
I have actual box fans like shooting cold air in. I also became an uncle, so that's cool.
Oh,
wow!
Congratulations.
Yeah. Yes. Again, I didn't really do anything. I keep telling people that, and they're like, no. Like,
I mean, eventually you will. You'll be that cool uncle.
But yeah, so shout out to Joe and Catherine. Congrats on the baby. That's dope. What else? I did a lot this week. I played a lot of video games too. I was all over the place.
Oh, that's good because we're a video game podcast.
Yeah. I guess it was appropriate.
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah. Tim, how you doing? Did you get a haircut?
I did.
I noticed.
Looks good.
You're welcome.
Thank you. It's courtesy of the razor in my bathroom.
I thought it looked like a self-done job.
Yeah. But no, I've been busy. Ready for the end of the year. I'm getting a good 2-week break off work, so
very cool.
Dope.
Looking forward to that, and I'm starting a new job in January, so that's the other part of it. So hopefully I'll be able to make up some of the losses that I accrued from overpaying on consoles this year.
Whoops.
But,
I'm sure we'll get that in. Yeah, we're gonna get that in later, certainly. Berto, how you been? Nobody ever asked you.
I've been doing all right. We bought a big ass tree for Christmas. When we were tree shopping and we saw the tree out in the open, my wife's like, "Oh, this is the tree." She was like walking by a row of trees, and she stopped and looked at one. And she's like, "Let's put a pin in this one." And I'm like, "No, that's the tree." I know my wife. The second she stops and reviews something, and like she's very quick to make a decision. So I'm like, "That's probably gonna be our tree."
It was like a done deal.
Yeah, it was like a done deal. She saw it, she fell in love immediately. And so we saw this tree, and obviously it's like out in a big open space. It didn't look that big. And then we brought it into our apartment and we have it set up. And I'm like, this is a giant ass tree. Like, we didn't think it was this big. And we're looking at it every day and we're like, this is really a big fucking tree.
Those are fun though, because like once everything's over and you take it down, you end up with a lot more space in your
Yeah, it's like,
place.
oh my God, we have so much space in this corner now. And we did a smart thing this year, which we didn't do last year. We bought one of those like tree bags, which is essentially just a giant garbage bag you put underneath the tray, so that when you're done with it, you just like wrap up the tree in it.
That's genius.
But yeah, we have a giant tree. It's all decorated. We have a Legend of Zelda ornament, which is now the first ornament that goes up on the tree, the
Nice.
last ornament that comes off. So it's a new family tradition. He makes sure that everyone gets on the tree safely and that everyone comes off the tree safely. Plays the original Legend of Zelda theme song. It's fucking great. Love it. So yeah, that's what we've been up to. Getting in the mode into the holiday spirit. We finished with Hanukkah. Bring on Christmas.
That's cool that you get both. I'm a little jealous.
I mean, our kids are. We're gonna try not to spoil them, but when we do have kids one day, they're gonna get spoiled because they're gonna get the 8 nights and they're gonna get Christmas, and you're gonna be like, listen, we didn't have it as good as you guys did. Well, I certainly didn't. Allison celebrated both growing up. We're gonna be like, listen, I only had the one holiday, so don't take it for granted. Don't be little shits about it.
So keep rolling, dude. What have you been playing?
I have. Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Might as well move on to what you're playing.
Jumping right into it. Let's go into the what you playing segment. All right. So I have been playing some Celeste, actually. And I know we're going to talk about that later, but I got a head start on it, and I bought it, downloaded it on the Switch, especially because I've heard everyone was talking about how amazing the game is, and it's been getting rave reviews as far as indie games, and it was up for a lot of Game of the Years. A lot of people in the industry talking about it's one of their personal games of the year. So I gave it a shot, and it's a fun little platformer, and you die a lot.
Yeah, I've
like a lot.
I baby stepped into it, and I agree so far. I'm not that far into it. It was actually, that's one of my regrets, is that I didn't actually beat that game like before this discussion, because I do think it is getting a lot of acclaim. So I mean, we will talk about that later. However, I do want to shout out. Basically, if you've been following along at all, you loyal listeners out there, we have this new concept for a future podcast, which will be 2-ish weeks from now. Who knows with the holidays if we kind of switch the schedule or something. But we're going to be doing the Split Screen Synics Game Club, and we did choose Celeste for the first game for the Game Club podcast. So Game Club number 1, if you guys want to pick up Celeste, or if you've already played Celeste, we are all going to get it, play it, finish it, talk about it in 2-ish weeks. And please reach out to us. Let us know if you have any discussion topics or anything, any questions you want to ask us, any thoughts you wanted to send us. We're going to be going crazy about that on the next podcast. So that is officially going to be the first Split Screen Synics Game Club game. I'll probably shout this out later too, but that is why I think Berto played it. That's why I kind of stepped into it this week. So look forward to that in about 2 weeks. So yeah,
definitely. So we definitely want to hear about you guys and your experience with it.
Go for it. Tim, did you end up playing Celeste at all, or are you waiting?
I haven't yet. I'm looking forward to it though. I've been meaning to play it for a while, and now I can play it on my Switch. So
yeah, that's exactly how I played it, because I think I mean, at this point it's pretty much out on all platforms. You can get it on PC.
It's pretty
on Mac,
available.
It's on Linux. It's on.
I ended up getting it
Xbox.
on Steam actually, because I don't know. It made sense to me. I don't know why. I think I got too many things for
originally it was
Switch.
released on, I think it was the PC and Switch only, and now it's just like available everywhere. So wherever you can literally play it on anything. Eventually, it's probably going to come on iOS and Android. I wouldn't be surprised, but
Yeah.
it's a great game. But the one thing I do like about it, and as much as I died, there was certainly frustrating sections in the game where I was dying over and over, and I was getting frustrated, but there was never a point where I felt like I wanted to break my Switch in half. Where there were definitely other games where I'm playing the same section over and over, and it's just like cheap deaths, and you feel like flinging your remote across the room because you're that frustrated. But Celeste, they do a very good job of giving you just enough of a challenge, but not so much where you like resent the game for it, if that makes sense. Um, Once you die, like it's not like the music stops and then it restarts to tell you, "Hey, you fucked up, you're dead. Now you got to start over again." Like the music keeps going because it's like one continuous thing. Every now and then, the game sends you like little messages. Like if you die, it's like, "Hey, I know you died right now, but you can." It's like, "Keep going. You got this. You can keep doing it." Every now and then,
Yeah.
like you'll get these
It's
little
like an
messages
empowering
to like reassure you.
kind of
Yeah.
like the flow doesn't get interrupted, which I kind of
No. It just keeps going, and I found that definitely helped with me not wanting to break my Switch. Also, the fact that I paid like $300 for it.
I mean that helps too. So Tim, what have you been playing? You haven't been playing Celeste yet. What have you been playing this week or these past 2 weeks?
Well, yeah, I've continued playing Valkyria Chronicles a lot. I'm really enjoying that.
That
Uh,
can I ask? Because I've never played any of those games, but I think those are similar to like, is it like a more in depth RPG of like a Fire Emblem game? Is that
yeah, I mean, it you could see it that way, but I don't know. I'd say it's similar in concept, but different in execution than like XCOM.
oh okay
Okay.
But it's got this kind of like World War I vibe going, and it's just got the strategy first. I mean, the reason why, like, when I think of Fire Emblem, I think of like a grid and like moving here and there. Valkyria Chronicles is much more open and free in terms of like where you can move and things like that. But I don't know, it's just a pretty fun system. It's got like good story, good characters. Just enjoying it, but still got a ways to go in that one. It seems to be a very long game. But yeah, I started Breath of the Wild with my friend Tom, and my friend Tom, obviously Garrett, you know him. He's
Mhm.
insane, and he always wants to be doing multiple things at the same time. So we're simultaneously playing that and Chrono Trigger.
Well,
Oh, nice.
Uh,
that's a lot of RPG.
That is
Yeah.
a lot of RPG.
well, Breath of the Wild is I mean, I guess there's a lot of RPG elements to it, but
Okay.
But yeah, we're at the tail end of Chrono Trigger. We're about to finish that, but we've just been playing very leisure pace with Breath of the Wild, just running around doing.
Which
random
ending are you
stuff.
going for in Chrono Trigger?
I don't even remember the different endings, so just seeing what happens. But we're fighting lava, so we're basically there.
Is this your first time playing Breath of the Wild?
Breath of the Wild, yeah.
How are you liking it so far?
I'm enjoying it. I'm worried because it's fun to just run around and do everything, and then when I actually get around to doing like the story missions and things like that, I find I'm a little over leveled and overpowered for it. But that's fine. Like, I'm enjoying the game for what it is, so can't really complain.
It's fun. It doesn't exist within the timeline, so it's
Yeah.
not like a game that you have to play.
I keep playing these like 100-hour epic open world games, so those are eating up all my time.
I mean, Breath of the Wild can certainly get into that 100-hour epic, or you could just mainline and go straight to
I gotta
Calamity
stop. I gotta
Ganon.
stop with these games, dude. I need some like 10-hour like quick games.
I mean, you could certainly do it in 10 hours.
Yeah.
You just got to get really good about, beating people with, fucking sticks and wooden shields.
I'm sure there's a speed run out there.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. I actually, awesome games done quick. We're looking at you. I want to see a Breath of the Wild speed run done with just a stick and a wooden shield.
Yeah, maybe we should train up. We should speed run something,
Oh, jeez.
and we'll be at the next AGDQ or whatever.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. We did the most epic of speed runs in Mario 64 at our
People
extra life.
forget.
It was the fastest anyone's ever
It
beaten.
only took
Legendary.
like 2 hours and 3 slices of pizza or whatever.
Yeah,
Tag team
Yeah.
speedrun.
that double
Tim.
pizza was like that pizza sandwich was like we're living in like 2018
Frame
and
perfect
living-
pizza.
Frame,
and it
frame
was like
perfect.
you were like living in
Double pizza
2118.
slice eating. Tim, this
Yeah.
is super important. Counter-Strike Battle Royale. I need an opinion from you. What's the deal with that? Are you gonna try it?
Pretty indifferent. I mean, I'm sure I'll get around to playing it eventually. I saw clips of people playing it, but I have no interest, and I don't think the large public really does either.
Yeah, it's nice that it came out for free and it was like here, but I saw that and I was like, what?
The weirder changes are that they made the game free to play, and then like you can pay to make your account Prime, which basically makes it so that if you play matchmaking, then you don't have to always play with cheaters. You only play with cheaters sometimes. Whereas if you're playing free, it's basically cheaters all the time.
Oh, Valve! Valve's like, how can we monetize this?
You can pay to play with cheaters sometimes. We can't guarantee there will be no cheaters, but you can try your luck by paying.
People are upset about it, rightfully so, because basically it's just it used to be like if you wanted Prime on your account, you had to play it, for basically several weeks to like grind up your account to get to the level, and it's stupid and annoying. But now it's just you can just buy it. Yeah. So anyone who really wants to cheat will just be like, sure, I can pay $15 for a new account.
Yeah. That I don't know. Valve. We're gonna talk about it in a little bit, I'm sure. But Valve is, I don't know. There's some issues. Artifact got released, and I heard the player base has like basically jumped off a cliff already. So, we're gonna talk about them in the news segment. Certainly,
they should just go back to making games.
No.
That third Half-Life.
No. They shouldn't.
Because
because
that whole Steam thing just doesn't seem like to be working for them.
Yeah. All right. So what have I been playing? I'm gonna ask myself.
Garrett, I have a question for you.
What's up? What's going on?
What you playing, man?
A couple things. This is a big week. This is a huge week for Switch owners.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you guys were paying attention. Pretty big release this week. It's been hyped up for years now. Pretty much every Switch owner is talking about it. I'm sure they're playing it right now. Of course, I'm talking about Katamari Reroll, which is.
I'm not playing about.
Oh no, that wasn't what you were thinking. No,
I thought you were talking about something else.
Yeah, something else came out. Who cares? Katamari Reroll came out. I love it. I've been playing it. It's so much fun. Also, Smash Bros came out.
How much is it?
It's $30, which is an issue. Bit of an issue, but we'll get into that. It also came out on Steam too, which I didn't know until I literally was about to purchase it. But yes, I've been playing that. I did pick up Smash Bros. I have been playing that. I haven't played any multiplayer yet, so I don't know how I feel about the game yet. It feels pretty good though, like mechanically at least. Yeah. I've only unlocked like 2 characters, so I barely played it. Third and final game, Red Dead Redemption 2, I finished as of like 58 minutes ago, something like that.
So coming fresh off the end.
So yeah, I haven't done anything for many hours this week. So I did
How
finish
those horse
that.
balls looking?
Well, unfortunately, Horsea had to be not put down, but basically disappeared. So I ended up with a female horse, Horsadie. I clearly
you disappear? Did you tell the horses? I guess colts is the right word, right? For like a small horse.
Sure.
Did you tell its colts that it went to buy cigarettes and never came back?
Yeah. He's up at the farm upstate or something.
That's an absentee parent joke for you people.
But I didn't actually kill him. Like my first horse ever, I had to kill, which was sad.
Wait. All right, I want to hear that story. The first horse ever you had to kill. What did it do that you had to kill it?
So I actually streamed this. I'm sure someone made a clip of it, but I was horsing around, pun intended, and I yelled at a guy to stop because I was badgering him and probably wanted to shoot him, and he kind of pulled up short on his horse. And my horse kind of flipped over his horse and broke its neck. So it was struggling on the ground. That was the original Horsea, who was actually Horsea. I didn't realize the funny spelling and the similarity to another character. So I had to stab that horse in the heart and put him down. Unfortunately, that was sad. So Horsea, the junior, if you will, I ended up taming, like you said, the white horse, the Arabian horse, and didn't. Like, I was like, well, I guess he'll follow me back. Did a mission by mistake, and he was just gone forever. So I think
And they're hard to get again.
But that's Horsea, who's the big fat horse you're supposed to sell in the beginning. So he lasted a while. I assume he'll be in the sequel, Red Dead Redemption 1. which that's a weird time travel paradox that's going to happen there. But so I ended up with horse Sadie, and she's a female. So my horse's balls aren't non-existent, if you will. That was a really long answer to that question. But yes, I will talk
But
about the game.
So many good moments
coming
out of
up.
it.
Yes, I actually have I have so many hours recorded. I promise I will do a video eventually. But I actually, at one point, my horse does like a sick gainer off a rock. It's probably my favorite thing I've recorded. But yes, that's what I've been playing. I will be talking about that game and those games in the future, obviously.
I definitely had a couple of glitches like that because I know every now and then you get funny glitches in Red Dead Redemption 2. I was like riding along a trail with like one of my starter horses. I think I named it Butts or Shits or something ridiculous because I'm like 5 years old. And then this dude was like pulling a cart with his two horses, and then like the cart was like floating in midair. And then it's like all of a sudden it's like the game realized, oh wait, the physics have to kick in, and the cart just drops on the horses and kills his two horses.
Blows up. The little glitches are pretty amazing.
It was so great. I was playing. Allison was sitting right behind me, and I start cracking up, and she's like, "Babe, what are you laughing at?" I'm like, "This cart was just floating in midair, and the game's like, oh wait, carts don't float," and just drops and kills the horses.
The little glitches are, and it's such a polished game that they're so funny when they happen. This is actually a clip I made on Twitch because I was playing late and no one was watching, and like we're going into a cutscene coming back to camp with a wagon. And I'm standing there. I'm like, why is it going into a cutscene? That seems weird. And as the horses pull into camp, like, they just run over the camp dog very slowly, and it's just like squealing. And I'm just like, oh my god. But yes, let's move on. Sorry,
Doggy, no, don't run over the doggy.
I could talk all day about that nonsense.
Horse bead, whatever you. Don't fucking kill the dogs.
I enjoyed the Horsea pun that came about organically. I enjoyed very much. R.I.P. Horsey.
Oh man.
Segment 2, Cynical Spin.
Let us go into our next segment of Cynical Spin after we killed a bunch of horses and dogs with our randomness. First bit of news that we're going to touch upon in our Cynical Spin deals. We were talking about Steam earlier, and this actually is related to that. Epic. I don't know if you heard. They're launching their own digital game store. They're shit. I mean, they're shitting money left and right with Fortnite. Let's be serious. Fortnite is, it's like the next best thing since sliced bread, which I honestly don't think is that great. I like regular bread, but then again, I'm also not a huge fan of Fortnite, so I guess I'm the outlier.
Yeah, I usually eat bread by the loaf. Just
Like I don't need don't tell me how to eat my bread. I don't need it sliced for me. If I want to eat it, if I want to eat the entire loaf, I will eat the entire loaf.
Hold on. Lightning round question. Hero,
Oh.
hoagie, wedge, or sub?
Like, is this asking me what it should be called?
Yes.
Oh, it's a hero.
Tim?
sub.
Oh, I'm a wedge guy. At least no one said hoagie.
Oh God.
Thank God.
I mean, I kind of would have preferred you say hoagie. Wedge makes me think of like
wedge is good. It's the way it's cut. It's a diagonal cut.
So then why not call it a diagonal?
No, it's a wedge cut. Don't.
Wedge cut.
This will be the next podcast. We're skipping Celeste.
Our next tune into our next podcast all about sandwiches.
Actual sandwiches.
But anyway, Epic launching their own digital game store. They are in a position where they can offer developers more money for the games that they sell on their storefront. Typical industry standard for when you sell a game on any kind of virtual storefront is a 70-30 split. 70 going to the developer, 30 going to the storefront for the overhead, for listing your game on the store, et cetera, et cetera. Epic, however, said, no. We want to make sure that the developers are getting the lion's share of the proceeds of the game because they're making the game. We're just listing it. So their split is an 88-12 split. And in certain cases, they're picking up, I think there's like a 3 or 5% fee for, if you use the actual Unreal Engine to make your game, the royalty fee. They're like, if you're using Unreal Engine and you're selling on the Epic storefront, we'll pick up the 3 or 5% or whatever it is for royalties for using the Unreal Engine. So we'll pick up that and you don't have to pay that out of the 88%. So they'll effectively be getting 88% plus. And I think the Epic Digital Games storefront is live as of right now. It's been live, I think, for a week or so, or maybe even more.
It actually has there was a game that was released specific to that store called Hades from Supergiant Games.
Yes, it was. It's an
I believe is
it's an early access
roguelike
game at this point, right?
Yes, so it's early access. I don't know. I assume they will release it on other stores eventually.
Oh
maybe.
yeah, I'm sure. But like right now, it's that's right. I remember watching that the other night on the Game Awards, Jeff Keighley's thing, and they were like previewing the game, and they're like, it's live now on the Epic Game Store. But Epic plans to hand curate its store. I mean, I don't know how well this is going to go initially, but they're very ambitious in that they want to make sure that what they're listing is not just any old game that could be shit. Essentially, they want to make sure that the games that they're listing are good games or quality games, and they want to give the developers what rightfully should be going to them for all the effort they're putting into making this to making the game that eventually we will be buying and playing.
Well, so Tim, I kind of want to ask you first on this because I think primarily, I mean, you did just get a Switch and a PS4, I guess, but like you're a big Steam guy, I think, right? Am I wrong on that? So what's your opinion on this? How do you feel about this?
I mean, I think it's good. I don't think it's going to move the market like crazy, but I think if anything, it'll motivate Valve to try to improve their services a little bit. I like the fact that it's very developer friendly. I think that it's hard to look at that as a negative in any way, but I think it's admirable from Epic that they're trying to take this angle into going for the distribution route. And I mean, they're in a position to do it. Who knows, 2 years from now, it might be the service that everyone's using. And this seems to be like the best possible way to get it started. But granted, Steam has such a monopoly on it that I don't really see this making too big of a dent in their, market.
Yeah, presence. I do think Epic, the timing is basically perfect because you have a younger generation that's all about Fortnite, obviously. Yeah. So they have the user base that could capitalize and, possibly move this thing. I think it's mostly good. Like, obviously, Steam has this big monopoly and they need a kick in the pants because they're just shitting out, like, games, maybe, and strategies to make money and not putting out good games. So I think it's a good thing. I do worry a little bit. I hate that everyone's coming out with the store now because I don't want 12 different stores. That's just not who I am as a consumer. Like, I love Steam. I find it pretty easy. Hopefully this will make Steam be more competitive because they just announced like a new strategy where it's like, oh, if you make like $20 million, we'll like take a lesser cut. And indie developers like, that's so fucking wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you're talking about the small indie developers, it's like, that's fucking great for like, your giant AAA developers. But what about, your 5-man teams who are putting out games?
So, I hope this makes things more competitive. That being said, I know, didn't like Bethesda launch its own launcher store thing, and that's a nightmare.
Yeah, Bethesda has their own launcher. So it's like to your point, I think it feels like everyone's coming out with their own launcher, and from that end, another launcher means just another account that you're gonna have to keep tracking, and another storefront you personally are gonna have to curate.
Yeah, and just the thought of like Steam is this massive thing, so to me it's like permanent-ish. Where it's like, okay, my games will be on there. Right. But if every other game company comes out with a store, like, who's to guarantee your games are going to be on there in 10 years? Literally, like, proof of concept here. Google Hangouts, which we are using to record this podcast, is going to be done away with by Google. So, like what happens, when Bethesda no longer wants to support the store? Like, are they going to refund you the money? I highly doubt it. It's probably just written in their terms of use that it's like, oh, well, it might end one day.
Right. It's probably written in there in the shit that you hit accept without reading.
Yeah. So I think it's generally a good thing, though. I'm a little doom and gloom about it. I I never like exclusivity, so I do hope the Hades game does launch like on other platforms. But I do understand if developers don't want to use Steam, if it's such a massive cut of their profits that I can understand why. So for a developer like Supergiant, who I really like, and especially making like a roguelike, which is a game type that I enjoy, so I'll probably be jumping in at one point. Probably not early access, but when it comes out, I'll probably grab it. So.
Yeah, no, I think this is a solid move by Epic because, Steam, they've really been phoning it in for the past couple of years with their storefront. It's because they were the first to market with it, and they were like, well, we're Steam, we're the biggest, and we're the first, and we have this giant, library of games. They felt that they were the only show in town, so if you wanted to do games through an online virtual storefront, you had to go to them. And they were kind of just like letting it fall by the wayside. And you look at the state of it now, it's kind of shitty. I mean, who's got the time to try and sift through all the shit that's on there?
Yeah, we'll see in the future, obviously, but I think it's generally a good thing. I think competition is always a good thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm interested in that Hades game. I like the concept of it. I was watching a little gameplay video and I was like, oh, dope. So,
I was like throwing my credit card at the TV. Anything Supergiant makes, I'm like, yes, just give it to me.
I just don't want to sign up for. Well, actually, I have a Fortnite account, so maybe it's easy. We'll see. I'll test that out this week, maybe.
You actually have to floss before you start the game. It's in there. It's like when you click through the.
That's your credit card instead of asking for like the code.
Yeah, it's like, you have to film a video of you flossing. It's like, how well do you know Fortnite? Do you know the dances? All right, floss first, and then we'll see if we can sell you this game. Good on you, Epic. I'm still not playing Fortnite, though. Let's move on to our next news item. We are going back to loot boxes. So, you remember that? Loot boxes were sort of like, it's like oh no, we don't talk about loot boxes. No, loot boxes are evil. We don't talk about loot boxes. Well, the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, they're looking at loot boxes here in the US. Chairman Joseph Simmons has promised Congress that the agency will look into loot boxes in video games. Now, this is a bit of an old news story. It's from the end of November. But because of our recording schedule, we haven't been able to get to this, but it's a big news story that I felt, even if it's a little stale, we should talk about it just because of how big loot boxes are and how this could have some big implications down the road if it starts picking up steam, no pun intended. Yeah, they're starting to look into loot boxes because of concerns over gambling and children's susceptibility to addiction. Senator Maggie Hassan, who's a Democrat from New Hampshire, mentioned that loot boxes were predicted to be a $50 billion business by 2020 and that such transactions were endemic to the industry. So there's like a formal inquiry now into loot boxes here in the U.S., which is weird because the U.S. has always sort of been like a laissez-faire kind of have that kind of attitude where it's like, we're not going to, they're fairly light when it comes to regulation of any kind, as opposed to the EU, which is very heavy on regulation. I remember in a previous episode of Split Screen Cynics, we talked about loot boxes and how they were being pretty much banned in, I think, Belgium and the Netherlands, where they said these were strictly they ruled that no, loot boxes are a form of gambling, so you can't, kids are not allowed to buy loot boxes. So this is a far cry from what the U.S. used to be, where it's like, it's loot boxes. Let the kids buy the loot boxes if their parents want to buy it for them. But now the U.S. is like, maybe we should look into this. So I'm curious to get you guys' takes on this.
I don't know. It's a weird thing because loot boxes are such a strange, obviously it's gambling. It just is. I think the general argument against it being gambling is that it's a virtual good, so it has no value, quote unquote. Obviously that's different nowadays with Steam Marketplace and so on and so forth. I don't know. Loot boxes are weird. So long as the game gives them out for free randomly and you don't have to pay to open them, I'm okay with them. Once the game takes those and be like, here's a free loot box, but you have to pay to open it or something like that, that's where I kind of get a little like I don't feel great about it because obviously they're appealing to addictive tendencies. That being said, like game design in general appeals to that sometimes. MMOs are literally designed for that, what is that, the Skinner's rat box or whatever? It's like rewards at certain times to get you to keep playing. So I think it's a tough thing. I don't think anything will happen as far as like a ban in the US. That being said, because of bans abroad and stuff, I do think game companies are going to try to figure out a different way. My one thing about this is like games like Magic the Gathering Online, like booster cards and booster packs for trading card games are such an essential part of those games that like would those be under target too? You know what I mean? Like, because like Pokemon, the trading card game, like opening a booster pack, that's essentially gambling. So it's a weird thing. Like, where do you draw the line? Like, fucking Sports Time USA in Elmsford is you get tickets for playing games and you can change those tickets in for prizes. That is essentially, I think in Japan, that's how they get around gambling. Is that it's like you get prizes from rewards and not money. So I don't know.
See,
To
that's
me, it's
the
weird.
interesting thing with loot boxes, because the argument against loot boxes being gambling has always been, well, it's not really gambling, because with loot boxes, you always get something. You buy the loot box, whether it's the thing you were hoping for or not, you still get something out of it. Whereas in gambling, it's like,
I feel like
I'm putting $100 on.
Like if that went into court, though, it'd be so easy to be like, well, these are essentially garbage. Like, you know what I mean? Like you get something, but it's not necessarily an item of worth. In the new Artifact game from Dota, or from Valve about Dota, I heard that like part of their issues with the in-game economy is that certain cards that you get out of packs or however they do it literally have no worth at one point. Like you can't even trade them in. So like they'll just disappear. So I don't know. That's how I feel. It's weird because games have different systems. I don't think the U.S. is going to do anything about it really, except for possibly like put an age restriction or something weird. But
I think because I know, I mean, my main exposure to loot boxes, as most things are, through Counter-Strike, and I know in China they have a law that requires them to disclose publicly the drop rates for all the loot boxes and the percentages for getting that. And if they could even get it to a point like that, like they're going this weird like this children angle, which I think, that's just a common political tactic. It's like, think of the children, but in reality,
think of the children.
It's just a poor, like a poor for the consumer practice. And yeah, do I think they're going to ban it? No, I don't think they are. But I think it would be nice if they just enforce some sort of thing like that, so that people didn't think that there's a more than 1 in 2,000 chance of them getting an expensive knife in a Counter-Strike case or something like that.
Yeah,
it's if your stance is that it's not gambling, then at least do that. Don't make people do it, and make YouTube videos about the spreadsheets that they make about all like the thousands of loot boxes they opened and what they got from it to be your evidence. That's just scummy.
Again, it's a weird thing, and especially in Counter-Strike, because you have the Steam marketplace, so like you could essentially go and buy that product like from someone else, and that's obviously the economy is set by players and so on and so forth. But like that's always an interesting concept to me, because I remember playing Dota and being tempted with loot boxes, and I was like, at the time I was like, I never felt comfortable spending money on something like that. Now I'm a little bit different. I do it occasionally. But I remember like looking up an item I wanted, and it was like 45 cents. And I was like, oh, I could literally spend that instead of, it's like a $2 for a key for a chance at it. So I don't know. It's a weird concept. I would honestly, I think it'd be cool to see like a ban, because then they can't just like, companies can't just be like microtransactions. Like that's how we'll do it. But I'm sure they would come up with something way worse, to be honest. So
I'm sure. Like,
yeah, I think loot boxes is a nice middle ground.
Necessity is the mother of what's the innovation is the mother of necessity, or some shit like that, where if they ban one thing, they're gonna find some way to get money out of you some other way. I just think it's. I was just surprised that in the U.S. this became a thing because the U.S. has always just been a very hands-off kind of let the consumer do what they will. So the fact that they're actually taking an interest into loot boxes was very surprising.
Yeah, but I feel like
I don't
the
think
US
it's gonna come.
has.
I don't think anything's gonna come of it. To
I
be
feel like-
perfectly honest.
Like historically, the U.S. has always been like we should fight video games. Like I don't know if that's me just being like feeling persecuted, but like I feel like when it comes to video games, they're always like, let's take it to the courts. And then it's always like, oh, well, free speech, you idiots. So this one would be actually interesting because again, I do think it's not great to prey upon children, but part of that is also like just don't give kids full access to the credit card on these machines. Like that's
I
just
mean, yeah, that's the other thing.
yeah.
That's the bottom line, really.
Yeah, like do not let the kid control the credit card on the Xbox, and you could easily set it up that way. So, you hear all these stories about some kid spent like $3,000 or whatever.
It's like sounds like a you problem.
Like, and part of it is like obviously like are they targeting children? I don't think so. I don't think it's like that. But are children susceptible to it? I do think so because, it's that kind of instant reward feeling. So, we'll see. We'll see how it pans out.
As far as loot boxes go, I mean, I'm pretty sure I can see where you're leaning towards this. But are you pro or con against loot boxes?
That's hard.
That's right. I'm putting you on the spot. This is what the Synics
It depends
do.
how they're done. It depends how they're done. I think the way that they're done in Dota is one of the better ways because you can get items just by playing, and you do get chests and keys and so on. But there is a player market where essentially you could get everything cheaper. So because there's options, I like it. In something like Overwatch or Rocket League where you kind of earn rewards organically, that's fun. Rocket League's not great because you earn boxes and you can only open them with keys. And trading for keys is essentially you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So I think when it's done well, it's okay. I think when it's done poorly, it's shitty. As a player who like Rocket League is the one game that's really gotten me where I have bought some keys for loot boxes. And like, I don't know, I was fine doing it. I threw like $10 or, like
You got to get those keys for that shiny snake skin.
yeah, like I don't know. It's a weird thing. When games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey put shit like microtransaction in the game, I just laugh. I'm like, why would anyone ever do that? But I'm sure
Some
there's
people
out
pay
there.
to get that level boost.
Honestly, it would help you enjoy the game probably because the game was bad. Tim, have you ever been tempted to buy loot boxes at all or anything?
Yeah, I've bought some keys for Counter-Strike things.
Yeah.
You can only put so many hundreds of hours into a game before you're just like, let me change it a tiny bit.
Yeah. At one point, it becomes worth it.
Never have I opened a case and been like, sick. It's always been like, oh,
Like,
I regret it.
oops. Yeah.
I mean, there was one time where I did buy a loot box and I was really happy with what I got, and it was one of the Overwatch. I think it was last year actually. It was, or maybe it was the year before last. It was one of their Christmas holidays, and one of the skins for Zenyatta was Nutcracker one,
oh, yeah.
and he had the nuts around his neck, and I'm like, yo, legit, they look like ball sacks, not just like walnuts, but they look like old man nuts.
Yeah.
And I was really happy that I got that.
But I feel like
I was
Overwatch
just like-
does it pretty well because you can earn them. Like,
Well,
they do have the
Overwatch,
timed events.
They definitely do it. If you want to call it the quote unquote right way, where you could buy the loot box and get the thing randomly, or if you have enough points, you could buy the skin that you want.
Yeah, I think Overwatch might be the best system out there technically because at the end of the day, like you do have to grind a lot, but you could essentially get what you want by just playing the game. So I think that's the way to do it. It's funny because I think Overwatch is the reason all this loot box stuff started too, which I find humorous because it's one of the most
It's one of the better implemented ones.
yeah, it's one of the most available items you could get through loot boxes, I think. But
Let us go. Well, we do have one more news story, but we're gonna save that
Yes.
for the end of the segment because it deals with what our third segment is about, which is Split Screen Cynic Awards. That's right.
Woo.
It is the end of the year. We're getting close to the end of 2018, the beginning of 2019. 15 episodes in for the Split Screen Cynics. We started back sometime in mid-May, I want to say. So
Sure.
everyone's doing it. We said, why shouldn't we? So we came up with our own list of categories for year-end voting for gaming. Let's go right into our categories. What do you say, guys?
By process of 21st finger, which is not necessarily random, but pretty random, I guess, I'm going first. So the first category up for the Split Screen Cynics Game Awards, whatever you want to call them, who cares? Biggest surprise of the year. This is kind of open-ended. My biggest surprise of the year, personally, is that I actually liked a lot of AAA games that came out. Obviously, there were some terrible ones out there, but I was shocked when I played God of War and I liked it. I was shocked when I played Red Dead 2 and I liked it. I'm pretty sure I will like Spider-Man. I haven't actually played that one yet, but it looks pretty dope. Generally, AAA games don't do it that much for me. And I'm usually like really critical of them. So probably biggest surprise of the year, honestly, when I played Red Dead Redemption 2 and I wasn't just bored out of my mind the whole time. That's my personal one. How did I count? I counted, so it would be Berto next, and then we're going to rotate each category.
For me, biggest surprise of the year is that 2018 was a fucking great game, a great year for gaming. After 2017 was also a great year at gaming. I didn't think that we would be able to top 2017 as far as game releases. You had Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, what's the one with Aloy, what's Horizon Zero Dawn. You had like a shit ton of great games in 2017, and people were like, how could we ever top 2017 in gaming? And then you have 2018 and you got fucking God of War, Monster Hunter World, Spider-Man, Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's like, oh my God, 2018 is quite possibly even better than 2017. So the fact that 2 years in a row, we were essentially spoiled as far as games go, that is my biggest surprise, that we had 2 years back to back with nonstop amazing releases. No shortage of shit to play.
Nice. Tim?
So for me, I actually initially had this in a different category, but I feel like it fits better as biggest surprise. And my biggest surprise was just how unplayable Ni no Kuni 2 was.
That is going to be in a different category, by the way.
It was unplayable for me. Literally, they set themselves up for the easiest, like, good game opinion out of Tim with the first game. Like, I came into it going like, I will forgive so much stuff because I love the first one so much, and literally everything I loved about the first one was gone. Maybe the story is good. I don't care. I put 2 hours into it and never touched it again. And for a game as a part of a series that I was into so much, that was a huge surprise for me.
I like that answer. That will come up later, certainly. Quick vote? I don't know. I vote for Bertos. I like Bertos.
All right, so if that's the case, Garrett threw his lot with my camp. So biggest surprise of the year, 2018, also an amazing year.
All right, next category. This is a weird one because in my head it doesn't have to be a game from this year, or should we make it that?
I mean,
I
it
thought
doesn't
it did.
necessarily have to. I mean, I came at it from a game for this year, and that's what my answer is going to
I
be.
guess
But I don't think
you
it
could
has
say
to
both,
be.
maybe. But well, Berto, you're up first. Personal most played game of the year.
And this is where it gets surprising for me because I know I talked about like all the big AAA games that, the mainstream popular ones, your Spider-Man, your Red Dead, your God of Wars. But my personal most played this year, Monster Hunter World.
Mm-hmm.
I dumped over like 160 hours into that.
Damn.
Game. I bought a second PS4 and a second copy of that game just so my wife and I could play together. That's like how much that game got its hooks into me. So by far my personal most played this year. And I was just personally, I was surprised by how much it sunk its hooks into me and how much it just completely consumed me.
Yeah, that game
And
can crush hours
oh,
too.
oh my god, so many hours just spent in playing this game, and they're still supporting it to this day. They have their winter events and their summer events, and they have the new your new armor sets and your new
They
Palico
announced
armor sets.
an expansion like Ice World
They
or something.
Oh,
I
the Ice
think.
World coming in 2019 of next, like fall
Yeah.
of 2019.
But
So they're still supporting
expansions, we'll see.
So they're still supporting this game, and they plan on supporting it even a year plus after the game has released. Like I know they had a skin for the Palicos, which was like a Mega Man skin. And I'm like, my cat must be dressed like Mega Man. I need this. So I went in and I got that.
Tim, what was your personal most played game of the year?
It took a little bit to realize this, but it's kind of funny. But most played game from this year is Valkyria Chronicles 4, and I'm only about, I want to say, 25 hours in,
Okay.
and that's not much for me when it comes to like a game. But I assume I'll probably put in about 70 hours by the time
Damn.
I complete it. Not that that's really relevant to this conversation, but
Sure.
it's most of the games that came out this year that I played were shorter games, or I put in X amount of hours and then was done with them. Bulk of my hours go into games from previous years, but Valkyria Chronicles 4 most played.
Interesting. When did that actually come out in 2018? Just checking.
It did.
Okay.
I verified.
It came out
Good
March of this year.
verification. Because I didn't even think of this question for 2018 specifically, because my original answer was Rocket League, which came out forever ago. So I'll change my answer. I haven't looked into this, but I can estimate that definitely Into the Breach is up there. I spent a ton of time on that game. A little indie game from I don't even know the studio. Is that game company? Maybe? No, that's wrong. Who cares?
I will look that up for you right now while you talk about Into the Breach.
It's whoever made FTL. Great game, little indie game, but it has a lot of replayability, so I played a ton of that. Definitely Monster Hunter World is up there. I know I sunk at least like 80 hours into that. I imagine that Red Dead Redemption 2 has a lot up there. At least 50 hours, probably closer to 70. But again, I haven't checked any of this. I know I played 51 hours of Assassin's Creed Odyssey that I'll never get back. So unfortunately that game's there too. But yeah, I played a lot of like the stupid open world games eat up a lot of time. Monster Hunter World, great game. I'm glad that ate up some time. Into the Breach, little indie game. I knew it was going to consume me because FTL is probably one of my most played single player games of all time. I've replayed that game so many times. There's so many endings. So obviously there's
by
not a
Subset Games, and it's also on Switch.
Subset.
I might have to pick this up because I've heard nothing but good things.
Game's fantastic. Trust me, we'll get to that in a bit. Inconclusive winner on that category because you can't really vote.
Yeah,
like who wins? Like who cares?
I vote for Alberto had the most hours. So.
Technically, Alberto has the most hours, so Berto wins that category.
All right, we're changing it from inconclusive.
Yeah.
We'll put Monster Hunter World.
Actually, if you consider me as well, Monster Hunter World would add up. So I guess Monster Hunter World wins. Who cares?
Monster Hunter.
Next category. I'm sure he's happy he's going first. We got the biggest disappointment this year in video games. Tim, take it off. Take your shirt off. I don't know why I said take it off.
Take your shit off.
Of 2018. Okay, but yeah, it was gonna be Ni no Kuni 2.
Wait, was going to be? Oh, by the way, you were talking about it before. I was like, this sounds like it's gonna be.
It was, but I realized it's more appropriate to call that a surprise because I expected that to be good. Game that I mean, I guess disappointments. I was hoping.
I guess it doesn't have to be a game.
But didn't really expect it to be good. Was Mario Tennis Aces? It was such a disappointment. That I don't know. You could give it to either game. Both of them are major disappointments for me. But Mario Tennis to me is a bigger disappointment because it doesn't really need its requirements to be a good game are so small. It's just like literally take the formula you made with the one good Mario Tennis game there is with the first one.
Just do Mario 64 again and then
And do it.
add
And they
stuff.
were just so lazy about it. Like
Yeah.
I can accept the new features you want to put in to spice it up, but you gotta let me control basic things like the amount of games in a set and stuff like that. It's really just such a paper thin game. It could have been okay. So major disappointment.
Yeah, I think part of the issue with multiplayer games on the Switch a little bit is that the online is so disappointingly bad sometimes. Splatoon 2 is the only game I've had success online with. I haven't played Smash Bros. Yet online, so whatever. I believe this rotates to me. Biggest disappointment has been mentioned. Ni no Kuni 2. Fuck that game. That game is bad. Is so bad. I struggled. I streamed it. I played at least 20 hours of it. I was like, I'll fight through the pain. I intentionally underleveled my characters to try to make it difficult. It wasn't. They literally didn't balance the game. They were just like, well, what if they just press A the whole time and that works? Like that is basically the level of effort they put into balancing. Ni no Kuni 1 was like a smash hit for me that came out of nowhere. I've been looking for the collector's edition that resells for like $400 for that game. Ni no Kuni 2 came out. It ruined my hopes and dreams. So that's mine, 100%. Berto, what is your biggest disappointment in gaming this year?
Before I go into that, I just want to let our listeners know, because obviously this is a auditory medium and not a visual medium until we actually start recording and putting these out on YouTube also, which we will do one day. We promise you, just not now. But when Garrett was talking about Ni no Kuni 2, he like rubbed his temples and
I did like a
he rubbed his temples in such like a frustrated manner, like, I can't believe I'm playing this game.
dude. I tried
Trust
so hard to like that game. I tried so hard. Yeah, I gave it its due.
I think I'm gonna have to throw my vote for Ni no Kuni 2. I never played the first one or this one, but I've experienced them secondhand through my wife. She played both Ni no Kuni and she loved the first one, absolutely loved it, and she bought the second one thinking the same thing. Like, I love the first one. I'm like, the second one, yeah, of course I want to play Ni no Kuni 2. The first one was amazing. And she played it, and there were points where I looked over at her and I'm like, are you just playing this because you like the first one and you need to see the end of this one? She was not enjoying her time playing the second one at some points. I want to feel she's like, yeah, it's fun, but
the game was a complete
it's one of those answers where like, you're like, so do you like this? You're like, yeah, I guess I kind of like it.
It's funny because I bet you if you take, I think because we are the split screen cynics, like, I'm sure other people's answers would be like Fallout 76, but we kind of knew that game was going to be Like,
I was about to say, like, I'm pretty sure, like, in one
Assassin's
of our episodes,
Creed
we're like,
Odyssey, like, we knew that game might be trash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we usually temper our expectations well, and I think Ni no Kuni
like
2
what,
really wins because
you mean a game that uses an aged engine and by a developer that's known to have buggy releases is going to be terrible?
Yeah, it's just like it's a funny thing because when you look at it cynically, it's a game like Ni no Kuni 2 that will crush your hopes and dreams, because the first one had no expectations. It was cutesy, it was charming. You had Studio Ghibli working on it. Like, it had the perfect form. All they had to do was just make the game again, and it would have been pretty good. And they just couldn't. They just couldn't do it. So. I think that's the clear winner.
That just shows, like, for someone who hasn't even played any of the games in the Ni no Kuni series, I just know that watching my wife play Ni no Kuni 2 sometimes is just like, you're just like hate playing this game, it feels like.
Yeah, it's just
sad.
that was my entire experience with it. Not to mention that it was one of the worst ports for PC I've ever played in my life. I almost returned the game because it ran so poorly. I should have. What a mistake. All right, next category.
You are our biggest disappointment of 2018.
Ni no Kuni 2, you are the only category that has 3 votes for it. So
you're a
fuck
unanimous.
Next category, this one's going to Berto, I believe. Best comeback or patch of the year? Open-ended on the comeback part, but what do you think?
As far as comebacks, and I guess you can't really say this is comebacks because I want to say that when I read this, I immediately went to indie games and the Switch. Not that indie games had a comeback; they were always there, but the fact that indie games have found such a home on the Switch. Like it's become my go-to for like any indie game. And again, I guess that's kind of like sort of a not really it's not really a good like category or great answer.
I think you're doing
but
it right though, because I do think you're right in that indie games have sort of found a second bastion from what I think is typically PC is like the king of indie games.
Yeah, and I think that's
Whereas
probably
the
like when you
Switch
think
is like,
indie games, like it's always been sort of like a PC only thing until it gets ported over to the consoles because it's found success on the PC.
yeah,
But now it's like indie games release sort of like day and date on both PC and the Switch now. Like you got games like Celeste, The Messenger, Into the Breach, like all these games.
Dead
You can find them.
Cells.
Dead Cells, oh, such good games, all on the Switch, handheld, take it on the go. So I don't know if I'd call it a comeback.
I think it works. I think it works. Tim, best comeback or patch of the year?
I took this pretty literally, and I hate that I'm such a broken record, but there was a good patch for Counter-Strike this year. Not the one we talked about previously. There was one that made a small adjustment to the way that money works in the early stages of a match. And in the grand scheme of things, it might seem very minor, but it ended up kind of spicing things up that have been stale and have been in place as long as I've been playing Counter-Strike. So essentially since the early 2000s. And it's really shaken things up. It basically, I don't want to go to great details explaining it, but it forgives you more after the very first round. Normally in the game, if you won the first round of each half, which is known as pistol round because it's all that anyone can ever afford, you would essentially win the second and the third round subsequently. But now there's enough money for you to essentially get a comfortable buy on the third round if you lose the first round. So it basically opened up the field for a lot of new strategies and a lot of different ways to play it, and it's really kind of spiced the game up. So
Plus that battle royale patch. Let's not forget.
but yeah, that's the main. You
It's
can
all
punch
about the
back.
battle royale. I got a new idea for a game for Ni no Kuni 3. Ni no Kuni Battle Royale.
Dude, the amount of fucking different game types they crammed into that stupid game. I'm shocked. All right, best comeback patch of the year. I literally just thought of this right now because I didn't think of this question. I kind of want to toss single player games in there. I don't know if that's right, but clearly
Dude,
single player
that
games
is a
are
great
dominating.
one. Oh,
A lot of
good
reviews, a
one.
lot of awards. I know everyone's like, ooh, Fortnite, Call of Duty, et cetera, but I want to say this year was kind of dominated, at least critically, by single player games. So nice job on that, studios. Clearly they're still worth something. As far as patch, I did want to toss out, there was a Warcraft 3 patch put in this year, and I don't even know what it did. I don't
thought
even
of that.
care
I
what it did.
forgot.
But the fact that Warcraft 3 is being remastered, and I think that patch was like part of the excitement a little bit.
That was an amazing patch. It
Yeah.
basically lowered, one of the things is it lowered the default MS from 300 for BattleNet to 125. So
Yeah.
basically,
It essentially reinvigorated competitive Warcraft 3 online.
yeah, just made it playable, which
Yeah.
it never
you guys
was.
might as well be speaking a foreign language to me.
That's fair. Warcraft Remastered is coming out. We'll make you
That's-
purchase it, Alberto.
That's fine. I mean,
Already
one of the
getting
foreign
here.
languages that I don't understand because I understand a bit of French and I do speak Spanish. So I
That's-
guess my previous comment had to be clarified a little bit.
That's fair. I don't know. Do we want to try to vote? We're all over the
Well,
place
which
here.
one are you picking? Are you picking the fact that
I'll do
single player
single-player
narratives
games.
are single? Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Um,
Because the patch for Warcraft sort of full. No, that's a multiplayer game. Never mind.
well, if your vote for best comeback is single players aren't dead, then I'm gonna have to go for that because when you mentioned it,
Oh,
I'm like,
fuck
that's
yeah.
totally
Then
true.
I'll pick
People
it
were
too.
saying people had been saying for the longest the single player narrative as far as video games go is you can't do single player games anymore and be successful. But when you talk about God of War, Spider-Man, like these are all single player games and they're Red Dead Redemption, they're well, I think it's more of an open world, but when you're thinking
It's
about
single
traditional
player.
single player, God of War, Spider-Man, those games killed.
Yeah, go team. All right, so that one wins, I guess. Who's next in the rotation? I think Tim, you want to start
It'd
this one
be
off?
Tim.
We got best gaming purchase and your worst gaming purchase of the year.
Oh, mine are so simple. The best gaming purchase of me was the Switch I bought a couple weeks ago.
Yo, I almost picked that for biggest surprise of the year that you bought a
I
Switch.
thought about it. But
No surprise here. Tim buying a Switch.
Tim buying a Switch and a PS4 in the same
within
year.
like a month.
Yeah.
What a weird time it's been for me. But yeah, I've been enjoying the Switch a lot. It's definitely got its money's worth basically already. And my worst gaming purchase of the year was the PS4, which I bought about a month prior, and it was when I really wanted to play some Yakuza, and I played some Yakuza, and I'll probably play some more.
Yeah.
Later.
I will give you
But-
Bloodborne and it'll make it worth it. All right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because you
But-
need to play that game.
I will.
But sorry
Yeah, give it to
that
me.
you did that because I guess I'm next. I have made some bad gaming purchases this year. One of which is that I pre-ordered Smash Bros. Twice and it cost $7 to return. But let's not count that one. Mario Tennis 100% for the fucking Switch. I played it for 20 minutes and I was like, why did I do this? Again, you'll see a repeat in categories because the games are that bad. Mario Tennis is awful. Also, technically, I did refund it, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey for Steam was horribly optimized. So I did refund it. That was a bad purchase. Then I got in Google Project Stream, so I got to play it for free. It was still shitty, but whatever.
It's like it was free, but they should have paid me for it.
Yes, I'm so glad I didn't actually pay. That was when I was like, I should buy games to review them, and like to start with that game was rough. Best gaming purchase was a couple days ago. I went to Best Buy. I didn't wait to order it online, and it wasn't actually at Best Buy, so I went to GameStop and got Katamari Reroll for the Switch. I brought it into Growler's Beer Bistro. If anyone wants to go, Tucko, New York. Respect. We played it on the big screen. I actually left it there, and people were playing it till like 11. I've been playing it on my Switch. It's so perfect on the Switch. Like, it's worth it for $30, even though that price tag sucks for a game that old. I'm pretty sure it was $20 when it came out. Like, it wasn't full price when it came out.
No, inflation, $20.
Yeah.
When did Katamari come out?
I don't know, like 2007, I would guess, but I have no idea.
$2007
Yeah.
is like $30,
Earlier than
$20, $18.
Whenever, whoever, I don't care. It was a
whatever it
worthwhile
costs.
purchase. I was maybe gonna buy it on Steam. I'm glad I grabbed it for the Switch. I'll buy it on Steam sale 2 years from now for $5. Berto, what is your best and worst gaming purchase this year?
So as far as best gaming purchase, it definitely has to be the second Switch that I bought. And again, there was a little bit of subterfuge there because I bought the.
Can I just point out, Tim bought a PS4 and a Switch. You bought a second PS4 and a second Switch.
I had a second Switch. yeah, that's
Got me beat.
One upped, Tim.
haha. I did it twice. But it was a little bit of a selfish purchase because I was like, oh, Allison, you wanted to play Pokemon. Let's go Eevee. I'll buy it for you. And then I get to keep the Switch for myself because I want to not have to worry about, you bogarting the Switch if I want to play it. Same with the PS4. So there was a little bit of a self-interested move there. So, but yes, the Switch it's an amazing system. I love my Switch, and it's got Eevee and little Pikachu silhouettes on the back.
Dope. So that one actually is a clear winner because you both said Switch.
And then as far as worst gaming purchase, definitely got to be Mario Tennis. That game is not.
What'd you say?
Mario Tennis.
Oh, Mario Tennis
Yeah,
also wins worst game. It deserves
not
it.
good.
Worst
Stop.
game.
Phoning
I
it
was
in
like,
Nintendo.
And I played it before I bought it. And I played it at the Nintendo store, and I'm like, meh.
Dude,
I got it anyway.
You get it in your head because I had friends who purchased it, and I was like, well, if I have friends who have it, they'll want to play it, right? And I never played a single game against friends.
False. And it's like, well, there's new mechanics now, and you can break the racket, and you can, you get Boo, and he like dives for it and he like teleports over and hit. I'm like, this game is
Teleporting is so stupid. There's no strategy.
The
It
whole
is
mechanics
dumb.
are dumb.
It is dumb. I was playing with Boo and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that ball is like 20 feet away. I'm gonna teleport and get to it, and I still miss it. I'm like, this is stupid. It's
Yeah.
a stupid mechanic.
We
This
should
game
have
is
known
dumb.
when people were like, it's akin to a fighting game. Like, we should have known right then. Like, there's an issue there, clearly. That's funny though, because we got some winners straight up. Next category, Tim, you did last, I think. Okay, so it's me. We're gonna go best music or soundtrack or sound design in a game. This one was a little tough for me, only because I really dug another game soundtrack. But I have to give this Red Dead Redemption 2's soundtrack and audio design is incredible. You feel like you're in a Western movie. The animals and the gunshots and everything. It's so well done. It's, I think, maybe the best aspect of the game. Like it makes it so immersive. So hands down, I got to give that to Red Dead Redemption 2. The other game, Into the Breach, has a pretty dope soundtrack. FTL is one of my favorite game soundtracks of all time, but that's a story for a different day. So Berto, best soundtrack or audio design in a game this year?
I really dug Celeste's soundtrack. I was thinking of Celeste. I was thinking the indie games that I played on the Switch. Out of all of them, Celeste had the best, most well-rounded, and just all-around amazing soundtrack. Whatchamacallit, The Messenger was a nice little throwback, and with Dead Cells, it was a really cool soundtrack also as far as the songs, but it wasn't anything groundbreaking. But Celeste was just top to bottom. The music in Celeste was amazing. Absolutely loved it. I could definitely see the case for that being best soundtrack in a game. It was just so upbeat, and like for the levels that you were playing, and if you dying constantly, it could easily get like the music could easily get repetitive because it's being played on a loop essentially when you're dying over and over and over again. But it was just so good that it never felt that way. And the music actually was one of the things that kept me very much in it after I died like 100 times in one section, and was just like, no, the music's still going. It's keeping me pumped. I got to get through this. I got to get these strawberries and make it to the next screen. So that's my vote for best music.
Fair. Tim, we got best music or sound design this year.
I wasn't really blown away by much. I feel like, this is a lot of, I feel like a lot of the backlog I'm going through this year is stuff from last year, because now I like have things to play them on.
Mm-hmm.
But out of games from this year, the soundtrack for I know I've brought this up on previous podcasts, but the game Streets of Rogue, it's an early access Steam game. It's an indie game. It's just a bunch of catchy tunes. It's nothing mind blowing. It's nothing groundbreaking, anything. But it's the kind of thing that just gets stuck in your head and think about it when you're just. When you're not even playing the game, you're like, oh, this is my thoughts on this game. Just like these little happy little tunes. The sound design itself is nothing spectacular, but nice music.
Well, sell me a little bit more. Tell me a little bit more about Red Dead. Try and sell me on Red Dead.
I mean, to sell it, it's and I don't know how much you've played of that game, dude. As you play through the game, and into later chapters, there's a couple tracks that come out of nowhere that are like vocal tracks that are outrageous and perfect. I also think just like the general gunfight tracks are so unique. They're these weird upbeat kind of like western-y, like fun campy tracks that fit perfectly. I don't know why. As well as like the normal tracks when you're just out in the wilderness have this sort of melancholy, like slow descent towards like this somber and sad ending, which essentially is the whole, without spoiling it. Like, I assume you kind of understand how it ends if you've played the first one. So it's like, it's basically the end of the Western world and the coming of the new age. So I think the soundtrack just perfectly builds up to that. It's kind of unsettling and a little bit sad and somber. And then during the gunfights, it's this spirited, weird, campy music. I actually was blown away by the soundtrack. I think if I had to pick one thing that game did perfect, it would be the soundtrack. Sound design is a separate thing. Like, it's easy nowadays for AAA games to get sound effects right, but I just think that the guns were so crisp and all the animal noises, like the fucking cougars. Like, I knew it was a cougar, and I had never played the first game to the point where you saw a cougar or anything. Like, I just knew that noise came from a fucking wildcat. So
you just heard it and you're like, oh shit.
like from nature documentaries and stuff. Like I don't know. The game blew me away with its immersiveness.
That is some spirited arguing right there. Because I obviously I played Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm still in the process of playing it. I haven't rolled credits on it yet, so I know that the audio design on it is very good. But I wanted to see, hear a little bit more about it to see if you could get me to sway from Celeste. And
the trick here is that I haven't played that much Celeste. Like, and keep in mind, any listeners here, we are not like funded or a big site or anything, so we don't play every single game. Hopefully, we kind of cover the bases between us.
Do whatever we get to.
Tim does secretly.
They all suck.
And he just hates all.
It's like all the soundtracks suck.
So yeah, I don't know.
I wanted to see your impassioned argument for Red Dead Redemption 2, and I gotta say, you're winning me over.
Yeah. Again, the biggest surprise of the year is that I actually like these fucking games. Like, I tell people all the time, like, GTA 5 is not that good and stuff. So,
and then you're running away as they're throwing like spears at you.
Yeah.
And like coming at you with their pitchforks and their torches.
It's surprising that I do like these games this much, but God of War had some good audio design too. I definitely want to mention it. I don't think it was on par with Red Dead.
I mean, the fact that it's not even up there, because I love God of War. Absolutely loved my time with it, but the fact that it didn't even come up when I started thinking about what games I thought had the best music, it's not that not to say that it was forgettable, but I think that other games did music better than God of War.
Yeah, it had some cool tracks in there, but I just think that sometimes those fantasy, like medieval or like Celtic sounding soundtracks can kind of just feel generic sometimes.
Yeah. And as far as the sound goes, the only thing that like clearly sticks out in God of War is obviously the boy.
Oh boy. Oh, we should have done voice actor. I don't know. There's a lot of boys in Red Dead too. Weirdly, that's like a PlayStation thing. So yeah, unless Berto says right now, inconclusive.
No, I think you won me over with your impassioned argument.
Debate team, Red Dead Redemption 2, baby.
Best music goes to Red Dead.
Who's a good boy? Also, best voice acting, I think, of all time, maybe Arthur Morgan. Shout out, whatever.
I don't really have an impassioned argument for Streets of Rogue.
To be fair, Tim, your initial enthusiasm was bare minimum.
That's fair.
You're like, well, it was kind of cool. I enjoyed it. That being said, next category, and Berto, I think it's actually rotating
right here
to you, right?
This is the category. This is like the split screen Synics crown jewel category.
This is what we're all waiting for, to be honest.
This is the one, listeners, you've been waiting for this all 15 episodes. We mentioned it and we said, you want to be in the running for this category? Well, make sure you do your part. This is the Split Screen Synics Comment of the Year for 2018.
It was a spirited and well-fought battle between many participants.
Here we go. First comment in the running by Cuse Gunnar Chris. Great video game conversation, relevant news mixed in with great conversations about older stuff. Still waiting for the Street Fighter special.
Whoa. Wow.
So we're put on notice, guys. We gotta talk about Street Fighter.
I guess we could freeform react to this one. Technically, Berto would be up first, but I like the passion. I don't know how I felt about the demand on the Street Fighter special, to be honest. You're coming at us a little strong there. But honestly, like, recommendation. That's a nice thing to have in a comment. I don't know how you guys feel.
Like, I mean, I definitely took this comment as, it's like the criticism sandwich where they tell you something good need to work on and ends with something good.
Mm.
Except this was like a reverse sandwich because he ended with the what you need to work on. So it was like if you make a sandwich, but like in a shitty way, where it's like meat, 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 and then like bread at the bottom.
Well,
So maybe
bread-
this is an open face.
Let's
This is
not
an open
throw
face
bread under the
sandwich.
table. How about shredded lettuce at the bottom? Because nobody likes that shit.
I give that comment a 4 out of 5.
This
Whoa.
is like a
Whoa, we're rating it.
this is an open faced lettuce sandwich because it's like all the good shit on top that he piled great conversation, relevant news, and then at the very bottom it's like still waiting for this.
Q
So
Schooner
it's like,
Chris, honestly, great comment. And thank you
It
for
is.
commenting.
Q Schooner Chris, we love you. Thank you for the
Yeah.
comment.
But
Thank
there
you
was a
for the 5
huge
stars.
pool to choose from. And we did narrow
So-
it down to 2 out of 2 comments.
We're
So let's read the next one there, Berto.
battling it out. The two titans in the comments section. The two titans of the only comments we received all year, but that's fine. It makes our job easier. And now here we go. Gamer Chuck Steak. Comment with exclamation points on either side. Now give me my cookie. Totally enjoying listening to you guys. Keep it up. Great game conversations.
Wow. So another...
He
Like-
totally was listening when we said we'd give the winner a cookie.
See,
so
I
that's why
appreciate the throwback to the
Yeah.
cookie.
I do it because that tells us that he was listening.
Yeah, a lot of praise there. Feels good.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like that. But
I do like
honestly,
that.
like a little too much praise, maybe. Maybe it's like just a
No,
little too
you
much.
never have too much praise.
Like, too much of a pat
beg
on the
to
back.
Differ.
It'd be
Give me
funny.
all the praise.
That comment would win if it gave us a 2 out of 5, like 2 stars.
No. Give us 5 stars and give us all the praise.
Tim,
I
how
have
do
a
you
self-esteem
feel about who is that?
I give this one a 4.2 out of 5.
Whoa,
Oh,
wow!
4.2.
But we don't use the Dewey Decimal System, so we're gonna round down
Yeah,
to
so it
4.
rounds down to a 4.
All right, fair. Who was that comment was by whom?
Gamer Chuck Steak.
Oh, Chooch Steak. All right, that's fair. Berto, any reactions to that comment?
I like the fact that clearly they're listening because they know that we said that if you get comment of the year, we'll send you a cookie. So they opened up with "Give me my cookie," which tells me you listened to our stuff
That's
because
fair.
you knew we were going to offer the winner a cookie. So that's great because that means that you enjoy us enough to suffer through our podcast, which is awesome. And then on top of that, you gave us 5 stars and you left a comment, which is top notch.
Yeah, I mean, you could have little room for error, little room for improvement. Give it a 2 stars for the comedy factor. I would have enjoyed it a lot more. What do we think? Is there consensus here? Do we have a comment of the year? What do we think? Should we say it at the same time?
I think we need to hold a poll.
Hold
in
a
the
poll.
Next comment section.
And then we do another comment to decide.
We'll just
Listener.
take all of 2019 to decide.
Listeners, you pick which comment win? No,
Yeah.
I mean, we could always just flip a coin and pick. Since if we're going
Got
off
it.
of, if
Done.
we're looking at the rating, Tim gave them both 4 stars, so
All
they're
right.
on equal footing at this time.
I'm about to flip a coin. It's actually a USB stick.
Oh, okay.
Samsung up is Chris Schooner Chris. What's his name? Chris.
Cuse Gunnar Chris, as in Syracuse.
Oh, I thought it was 2 Chris's for some reason. And then
Chris
64 USB 3.0 is Gamer Chuck Steak. Here we go. Here's the winner. It fell off the desk. Everybody wins.
Oh, you know what that means? It fell off the. Both comments are the comment of the year.
You guys both
Gamer
get a
Chuck Steak,
cookie.
Cuse Gunnar Chris.
If you want
you
one.
guys are the 2 comments of the year.
Thank you for
You
commenting.
get cookies.
I have to bring a cookie to Growlers now. The thing is,
And
I
then
get to choose the cookie. So, you like, I don't know what you like, Chuck Steak. Maybe you like a black and white cookie. Maybe you're like more of a Oreo guy. We'll see.
Or a snickerdoodle.
What if I buy a fucking cookie cake and then I make you eat the whole thing? That'd be miserable.
Oh, you should just show up with a giant cookie and be like, "Here's your cookie."
So
Now,
yeah,
eat it."
but yeah, we kind of know the commenters, so that would be super biased if we picked one. Both you guys win. Thank you for commenting.
We appreciate the comments.
If more people
Chris,
comment,
look
we'll
for your-
actually
look
pick
for your
one.
cookie in the mail.
Yeah, it's gonna be moldy. Sorry. All right. Somewhat big, not as big as comment of the year. I think this one that was technically you, Berto. So this one goes to Tim. We have Split Screen Cynics Game of the Year. I do think this one's a little special, so if you guys want to toss out some runner-ups, certainly you can toss them in. But what are we thinking, Tim? What is your personal game of the year?
My personal game of the year so far, still got like
It's still like 20 days or something.
2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. Is Valkyria Chronicles. I mean, I've waxed poetic on it for a little while, but it's really exactly what I was hoping for when I got it. It's got a nice mix of strategy. It's got the JRPG vibe going, but it's really a strategy game. It's long. There's tons of stuff to do. It's not like non-linear. It's not like an open world. It's just, you got all these missions and all these characters and stuff like that. It's really just exactly what I was hoping for in a strategy RPG, and not often that I get to play games like this these days because they're usually such a big undertaking. So for 2018, even though there may be some, in the running games that I didn't give as much attention as I probably should have, I'm going to give my 2018 Game of the Year to Valkyria Chronicles.
Valkyria Chronicles 2?
4.
Why did I say 2?
What?
All right. Game of the Year from
What?
Tim. Respect. Now I have to play it because I'm pretty much going to play it because you said it was Game of the Year. So there we go. Game of the Year for me. Woo, did I leave this down to last minute because I have 2 in my head and I just need to pick one. This could be the whiskey talking. I got to toss out God of War was amazing. God of War blew me away. I was shocked at how much I liked it. I liked that they reinvigorated the series and so on and so forth. But I'm going to actually pick Red Dead Redemption 2 for my Game of the Year, which is fucking so weird for me to say. Especially like Monster Hunter World. I'm so sorry, Monster Hunter World. I loved you. I'm so glad you were a thing. I'm glad other people are into Monster Hunter now. There was too many flaws for me to ignore, especially with the multiplayer. Some of the end game I had issues with. Couldn't quite give it Game of the Year. Not to say that Red Dead Redemption 2 definitely has some flaws. The pacing gets to be an issue, especially towards the end, but I just finished it today. I was blown away by how immersive that game is and how much it makes you want to roleplay on a really subtle level. Like, every little moment, I'm like, no, I need to put my hat on. Because if my hat gets shot off, like, I'm not a real cowboy. And like, if somebody talks shit to me, I have to show them
which
that I'm
hat did you
tougher
go
than them. I had 3 different outfits that I rotated in and out depending on the weather. What ended up being my favorite hat, I really like there was like a what is that called? A boondogger or something hat in the beginning. But Arthur's hat, I ended up getting like a cardinal, like feathers and like other feathers. So I really like that one too. There was a raccoon hat that I liked for my cold weather gear as well.
Wait,
As
like legit just a raccoon carcass on your head?
yeah, it's got the tail, so that was cute too. But yeah, this was weird for me to pick. I can't believe I picked Red Dead Redemption 2. I feel like I'm gonna regret it. But I was so impressed. I thought the game was gonna be really boring. It was long. It could be boring, I guess, but honestly, it's the best open world game I've ever played. And I don't like open world games, so the fact that it kind of won me over, I think it deserves my personal Game of the Year. Berto, what is your personal Game of the Year 2018?
So, just a shout out to one of the runner-ups in my personal Game of the Year voting. 2018 was quite possibly one of my best years as far as gaming. I actually played so many games this year, more so than I ever played, even before I had like a full-time job and planning a wedding and all that stuff, which is weird. I played in addition to all the Switch games I have, I touched on Red Dead Redemption 2, Spider-Man, God of War, Monster Hunter World. So I definitely got a good fill of games for the year. First runner-up for me is God of War. I have to give shout-outs to God of War. Fantastic game. I remember when they first announced it and they were like talking about it. The more news that came out about God of War, like I was like, I want this game. I need to play it. And then they were talking about how I was very skeptical also at the same time. As much as I wanted a new God of War for this current gen, I was very skeptical because let's face it, Kratos is not a very deep character. He's very one dimensional. It's like, rah, I'm angry at the gods and I need to kill them all.
I'm
And
generally
that's basically
angry.
it's basically his stick. He's an angry Spartan. He wants to kill the god. He's got daddy issues. But as far as story, it's not a deep story. It's not an engaging story. It's very light. I mean, you could essentially play that game and completely be divorced from the story and still enjoy just the button mashing. So I was very curious and skeptical at the same time to see how they would give Kratos any kind of depth as a character. But Sony Santa Monica knocked it out of the fucking park. It made me care about Kratos as a character. It made me care about him and his story. I was invested in, his relationship with his son Atreus. They did everything right with that game, and they breathed new life into a character that I thought could not have any. So
yeah, I agree 100%. Like I'm sad I didn't pick that game, but like that game's phenomenal.
Yeah,
especially for what is essentially a reboot. It isn't, but
yeah,
like mechanically, it's a reboot, I guess.
A shout out for runner up, but for me, my personal game of the year is going to be not God of War, Monster Hunter World.
Yo,
and I'm simply basing this on the fact that I can't remember the last time a game has gotten me so hooked that I dumped more than 100 hours into a game that kept me coming back. 2, made me feel the need to go out and buy a second PS4 just so I could play it with my wife at the same time. And 3, just keep on coming back for more because I need to beat the same monster over and over because I want to get this armor set. Like, I was hooked onto everything that they were offering. And, to the points that you were making before where the multiplayer, that was one of the bugs. Not one of the bugs, but one of the quality of life issues where it's like, if you want to do a story mission with someone, you got to make sure you're in the same server. You got to make sure you see the same cutscene. Like, you can't join it unless they haven't seen the cutscene. And I was willing to put up with those issues to make sure that I was playing in the same server and doing the same story mission with my wife.
Yeah. And this was your first Monster Hunter title as well. Okay. So I think part of that could be the reasoning there, because I'm used to, I've played a whole bunch of Monster Hunter titles. So I kind of know what came before. So
you got the whole claw thing going on.
So yeah, woof. But like I do think that might have affected, because I loved Monster Hunter World. I'm so happy it was successful. But I think for someone who's new to the series, like it put forth some of the best strengths of the game. So like it's a phenomenal introduction to the series.
Yeah. So the things that you had issues with it as a Monster Hunter fan were more glaring to you because you've known where it's come from already. You've seen like its previous iterations, whereas me, who's coming into Monster Hunter World or Monster Hunter for the first time, it's like, yeah, I can see how these things are annoying, but it wasn't so annoying that it was a complete deal breaker for me.
Not to mention the quality of life changes were across the board amazing.
From what I hear, those quality of life changes were big.
Yeah. It's like, oh, all that annoying stuff? We got rid of it without making the game super easy. So
oh my god, it was such a 160 plus hours. Insect glaive for life. If you're not jumping to try and attack monsters, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, respect. All right, so there you have it. We're gonna. I say we let this one remain inconclusive.
No, I was about to say we'll leave this one. We'll leave this one as is because those are all 3 fantastic games.
But we do have one more category. A little surprise, maybe not a surprise. Tim, you started, I think, so I guess this would kick to me. We're doing indie or non-AAA game of the year. This is a weird category because I don't know what's indie and what's non-AAA. I have an easy answer. I think it might change once I play more of Celeste because I've heard good things. We'll see. But Into the Breach by far is my game of the year for indie games. It actually was in my running for game of the year overall. Just a really, really simple and unique concept taken to a great level. Again, FTL is one of my favorite games of all time, so it's not wholly unexpected that I like this game from the same developer. But it's just like it's this weird little like mini chess game. You're constantly trying to think ahead. You're dealing with unexpected like moves and actions in just this nice little neat replayable package. It's a really fantastic game. I think it was $15 or $20 when it came out. Worth the money. It's probably on sale now. Probably it was actually in my top 5 games of the year. So definitely worth it if you haven't checked it out. Berto, you got an indie or non-AAA game of the year?
Yeah, I do. And of all the indie games I played this year, Messenger, Dead Cell, Celeste, I'm giving it to Celeste. There's a reason why Celeste is being spoken about in the tones that it's being spoken about. It is a fantastic game. It's amazing. The messaging within the game, once you got I know you started playing it, and Tim, I don't know if you started playing it yet, but once you start getting deep into the game, there's there's tone that you could get the undertones of there's mental health implications in the game. The main character is going through mental health issues, and the way they approach that in the game isn't like, hey, our character has mental health issues and that makes her unique, but they broach that topic in a very organic way, and they talk about it in such a way where it's not sort of talking down to the mental health issues, but sort of, it's like, hey, look, people deal with this all the time, and it's okay that they do, and look at all, they can still leave, she's still climbing this mountain because she needs to, and she feels like she has to because it's something she has to do. And it's not like, well, I have to do this to prove something, or it's not like they're showing she's hindered or hampered in any way because of the issue she's dealing with. So it's a very cool spotlight that they put on it, and I like the way that they talk about those issues. Without a doubt, my indie game of the year.
And reminder to everybody, that's going to be the Split Screen Cynics Game Club game for the next 2 weeks, so pick it up. Clearly, it's a good game. It's getting good reviews. Yeah. Berto's indie game of the year. We will all be playing it, et cetera, et cetera. Tim, what is your indie game of the year?
I played a lot of indie games. I'm actually really looking forward to playing Celeste as well. But I mentioned last podcast about I played a couple indie horror games that I really liked. The Visage early access demo, you could say, and that game Lost in Vivo were really good. Enjoyed Streets of Rogue. Played a lot. Dead Cells could easily be up there for me, but I got to give it to Overcooked too.
Yo.
It is, it's kind of a no frills thing. It's kind of sad because really all they did was add 1 or 2 mechanics to the formula of the first game and then put in some levels. There's not a lot there, but I just love Overcooked. It's so much fun playing it. It's my style of multiplayer game 100%. It added, you can throw ingredients now. That's the big new feature.
That's huge, dude. That is huge in co-op.
But, this could have easily been my, favorite music of 2018 because, you get your Goofy Chef themes going on and they're a lot of fun. But it's definitely the most fun I had playing games this year was playing Overcooked. It's just good classic multiplayer, chaotic fun.
Dope. All right, so that's it.
Awesome.
That is your Split Screen Cynics. That's some of the awards. We'll do a little lightning round at the end, stuff we missed, certainly. I did want to just cruise right into discussion. Let's compare this to the Game Awards, I guess, is the name of them. Berto, I think you're the most familiar about this shit. But can I ask, is this like the Spike TV Game Awards? Is it the same thing?
It started off as it
evolved
Game
from
Awards
that.
on Spike TV. Yeah, it's evolved, and it's
okay.
If you haven't seen it yet, I would go I definitely go back and watch a couple of clips. This year is probably this past year is probably the best year it's been. Jeff Keighley's doing an amazing job making bringing, I don't want to say bringing legitimacy, because I think in to gamers, video games have always been a legitimate form of media. but trying to make it more mainstream and show everyone else, hey, games are just as worthy of recognition as movies are.
Yeah,
which is probably the best way to say it.
I think it's a good thing because it definitely has gained some legitimacy. Like back when it was Spike, I was like, this is a joke. I still personally think it's like kind of a joke personally.
I think it's a joke.
Like it's just like just looking at their categories, like it looks like they just make up categories so they can mention certain games. And obviously a lot of it's
certainly some categories
based.
where I feel, it's not a perfect show.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the best. It's the best show, I think, in my opinion, to bring light to what games do as a whole. It's not perfect. I think there's always room for improvement. But
because I got to be honest, I intentionally didn't watch it and didn't really look at the categories until today, just so it didn't affect my own kind of opinions and stuff.
Right. No,
so I'm
totally
just looking at categories here, so my judgment's based on that and not the actual awards. So compared to ours, like obviously you see some repeats and stuff. I was actually shocked when I saw that Game of the Year was God of War, and not like I had bet somebody years ago, like Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to sweep everything. And like I actually love that God of War did win Game of the Year from this because it shows that they do put a little bit of like influence as far as like it was innovative to the series. Like Red Dead Redemption 2, good or not, like it essentially is just more of the same. Like it just built on the previous game. So respect to God of War, they tried a new formula and they won. That being said, that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is even in that category is a joke to me. That game is bad. So like that's not okay. But like that Monster Hunter World's in there is dope. Like that Monster Hunter World made it in there.
It's terrible. It shouldn't be there. But I like Monster Hunter World for being there.
Like no, but like Monster Hunter World, like if you told me 3 years ago that Monster Hunter World would be considered
a Monster Hunter title in Game of the Year,
I'd tell you to go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? Like, but then like I don't know.
No. I totally understand that. Respect to that.
Like what is best ongoing game? Like that's just an excuse to say Fortnite.
I mean, that's just like saying, well, I mean, this year it was definitely just an excuse to say Fortnite, but last year and I think the year before that it was Destiny 2.
What?
I mean, not Destiny 2. Sorry, not Destiny. Overwatch.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say Destiny 2.
Yeah, no. Destiny 2. No, it was not Destiny 2. It was, last year and the year before it was Overwatch, but I think best ongoing game, like some of these categories, I think best ongoing game is sort of the best way they could describe that. It's probably just best multiplayer game that it's sort people of like, are still playing.
Yeah, like the biggest multiplayer game. What is a Way Out? Do I not know what A Way Out is?
It's by the I don't know if it's by the same people who made Brothers, but it's the same concept.
Okay, same. Oh, it's the Prison Break game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's in Best Game Direction nominee. Which I didn't actually play that. God of War won for that. I understand that. Best Narrative, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, I mean, again, some of these categories definitely can be cleaned up. When they were doing the show itself, there were like a bunch of. I mean, it's just like the Oscars. You have some awards where they're like, over the commercial breaks, these these awards were given out. Best this, best that. So there was a whole bunch of that in the actual awards ceremony itself. So like Jeff Keighley would be like, and this title, and like for best family game, you have this, and this, and the game, and the award goes to this. So there's a couple of categories that he kind of rattled through just because he had to fill the award show within his allotted time block.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen some of those get a little bit more recognition. One of the categories that I'm thinking of immediately is best student game. I don't even know like what the game was that won. I don't even know what it looks like.
Combat
he mentioned
2018.
The game. Yeah, but I don't even I don't know what kind of game it is. I would have liked to have seen the team that designed that game, the kids or the college students that designed that, actually get some recognition and get some stage time. So again, not a perfect award show. Definitely some work that still needs to be done.
When you scroll down to the categories, there's a bunch of esports ones, which is like what? It's I don't know. Like there's so many esports ones, and like I get it, but like How do you pick a best esports game? Like they picked Overwatch.
I think it's so stupid because
Yeah.
I mean, like I guess there's like the ESPYS and stuff for sports, but I mean, maybe it's just my opinion on award shows in general. I
Sure.
mean, it's kind of ironic considering we're doing it, but we're just some dudes
Yeah.
saying our opinions. It's not like we're presenting this as like this is what the consensus is. All like the esports categories are also goofy and ridiculous, and like
Yeah.
why should they even need to do that? Like
Yeah.
esports are pretty cut and dry. It's like, oh, this is the team that won.
It's cool that like I like that there's indie games. The student game's kind of dope. Like I kind of want to try all of these.
Yeah,
I've never
and
heard of any of these.
these are some of the ones that they kind of like rattled on through, and that's
Yeah.
like the point I was making.
Oh, Donut
with,
County's on
like,
there.
I would have loved to have seen the best student games. I would have loved to have seen a little bit more spotlight on those to see what kind of games they were. Because,
Yeah.
maybe I might want to play these games.
Hold on. Best sports/racing game. Mario Tennis Aces was nominated. Throw out the whole show. Oh,
All
Into the
right.
Breach won something. What did they
All
win?
legitimacy lost.
Best strategy game. Oh, that's a made-up category to mention Into the Breach. Oh, Overcooked 2 won Best Family Game, Tim. Is that
Yeah.
not a weird one? I don't know. That seems like a weird one to me.
They're all weird to me.
I guess so. Nino Kuni 2 was nominated. That's an issue. Action
The worst
Adventure.
game.
God of War won.
It's in my worst games
Yeah.
nominees.
Dead Cells won Best Action Game? That's weird. Mega Man 11. We forgot about Mega Man. That should have won Comeback, maybe. Celeste won Independent Game. That's cool.
Mhm.
And Games for Impact, which I assume just means it handled tough
again,
issues, maybe.
Those are, and again, that's another category that I would have liked to have seen them put a little bit more of a spotlight on. I don't think
Yeah.
that was one of the ones. I think that's one of the awards they just kind of rattled off.
I think it's.
Uh,
I think in concept it's cool, and it's cool that it's getting a little more serious. I just I find it hard to like disassociate from this being sort of like an advertising thing almost. Just because like some of these games are just like, well, this game was just talked about a lot. Like I don't know. Obviously it's subjective, and that's my opinion. Although Red Dead Redemption 2 did sweep all the audio ones, so respect me.
yeah, no, I mean, it swept and that's what a lot of people are saying. They thought that Red Dead Redemption 2 was just going to come in and like eat God of War's lunch essentially.
Yeah.
But I mean, it won the technical ones with the exception of direction, and
Yeah.
I think there was one other one that God of War won.
Well, that's what's weird. Like, it's not even nominated for role playing game. Like, that seems weird to me because that game has like crazy RPG elements in it. More so than Monster Hunter, I would say, certainly. But
I think they're definitely trending in the right direction
Yes.
with the award show. And every year, like the one thing about his award show is that Jeff Keighley's very good about taking feedback and criticisms and applying it to the next year to make the show better. So I'm hoping that for 2019, when he does the awards show, the message will like filter through about, maybe give some of these categories a little bit more screen time than others. There are definitely some awards that maybe you might not, or maybe on the surface they don't seem as important, or that you shouldn't give them as much screen time, and you kind of just run right through them, but maybe take a little bit of a step back and give them a little bit more recognition. So I'm hoping that message comes through, because there's definitely some awards here that like I would have liked to have seen the teams that won these get a little bit more due.
yeah, that's fair. I mean, also a lot of my complaints are basically come down to like part of the issue with the video game industry as far as reviews and journalism right now, I think, is that just every game just gets this like blanket, like it's an Assassin's Creed game, so it's good. And I think it needs better methods of like critique, to be honest. So let's move on, because we could talk about that for years.
That's why we're here.
We're here to ruin all that. All right. To wrap up, let's do any games on the horizon you're looking forward to for 2019 or anything you're excited about. You could just kind of do this quick.
Oh yeah, give me January 29th, 2019. I've been waiting for this game for like a fucking decade.
Resident Evil 2
Give me
HD?
Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, Kingdom
Hearts
Hearts.
3.
Oh no, I hope that game's good, dude, because you have been...
It better. Oh my god, if that game is not good, I'm gonna fly over to Square Enix in Japan and be like, you made me buy a PS3 waiting for this fucking
Maybe
game.
buy a
And
PS3.
it never came out on
Take
PS3,
the PS3
and now
back.
it's coming out on the tail end of this console generation, and you have the gall to make a shitty game.
Fair.
And then I'm gonna spit on their table and walk out.
This is I don't know. I'm not like super excited for anything. I'm kind of tentatively excited. I know there's a new Animal Crossing. I enjoy those games, so that'll be fun. And everyone has Switches, so maybe I could play with people. Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice.
Shadows Die
know.
Twice. Is that the Dark Souls?
Dark Souls Samurai Edition, essentially.
Yeah.
Although
That
it looks
good.
quote unquote different, so we'll see. I'm a little skeptical on it, to be honest, just because it's tough for me to talk about Dark Souls and not be like, well, but 2 and 3 weren't that great. But then Bloodborne was awesome, so hopefully the new setting and the new territory will make a good game. We'll see.
Warcraft 3 Reforged.
Warcraft 3 Reforged, definitely exciting. I know me and Tim are going to be playing that like crazy. An unannounced / unofficial, probably Zelda 2 Breath of the Wild kind of a thing, I imagine might come out in 2019. That's total rumor.
You think so?
Dude, it's going to be built on the same system, same engine, same graphics.
Well, I mean, I was about to say, yeah, I guess, because obviously Breath of the Wild came out in March 2017, so it wouldn't be unheard of.
Yeah. It's going to be like Ocarina of
years
Time, Majora's Mask, I think, where they kind of reuse a lot of the assets.
Yo, I would, if it's like that, I would be totally down.
Well,
because I love.
I'm not saying like gameplay wise exactly. I imagine they're just going to put dungeons.
If it goes the same route where they reuse the assets and then just go totally trippy with it.
I mean, that'd be cool. I imagine they'll just slap dungeons in it and hopefully fix the repair system or whatever. Couple remakes, Catherine remake, I know. Resident Evil 2 HD, that could be fun.
That's the big one I'm waiting for.
Yeah, give me that RE2.
I assume that's going to be a split screen Synics Game Club game in the future, just because.
Oh, absolutely.
Luigi's Mansion 3 has been announced. I'm just kind of going through a list of fun stuff. Outer Worlds is that new one.
Give me that Metroid Prime 4. Goodness.
Metroid Prime 4, forget about it, dude. How about Sonic the Hedgehog, the live action movie? Have you guys seen the poster for that? Woof.
How about I give you my cat so that they can cough up a hairball?
Yeah, that was. I mean, no one expected that to be a good announcement. I don't think. A couple other games. I don't see anything too big. Toe Jam and Earl's coming out. That could be cool, I guess. Yeah, nothing crazy. All right. I guess that's it. Hopefully 2019 is not miserable because 2017, 2018 kind of used a lot up, as well as I know the console generation's ending, so we'll see. Hopefully we get some good indie games. That's what I'm usually excited for. All right, last chance. Anything you want to toss out that we missed, that we didn't mention? I do have to say Mega Man 11. We should have maybe said that for the comeback. That was a fun game. I haven't actually finished it yet, but nice little comeback from Mega Man. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
And breaking new territory a little bit. Smash Bros is fun. I don't know. How do you mention Smash Bros? It's not like it's going to win awards for anything, but so far, so fun. I'm trying to think of anything else. Dead Cells, I know we kind of mentioned, but I think Dead Cells deserves some respect. I didn't think it was the end all be all, but
a little lacking, but great.
Headed
fun while it was.
Headed in the right direction, certainly. I think if they put out an expansion or a sequel and tweak it, it could be good.
Shout out to The Pathless, which is one of the games from Giant Squid Games.
The Pathless?
They're the Giant Squid is a bunch of people who were on the team that did Journey.
Oh.
And they made Abzu.
Oh, they're coming out with something new?
Austin Wintory is doing he did the music for Journey, Abzu, and now he's also doing the soundtrack for this game.
He might have done Flower soundtrack as well. I'm not sure.
So I saw the trailer for that, and I'm like,
I'm excited
this looks
about
cool. I'm very into Giant Squid
Mortal
games.
Kombat 11, anything? No? I don't know. Tim, are you excited for that?
I haven't been into Mortal Kombat.
10 did me dirty.
Yeah, 10 did me really dirty.
It's gonna have to be the best game ever if they want to win me back.
Yeah. I wish they just kept 9 going or something. 9 was so much fun.
Yeah, 9 was a billion times better than 10.
There is an Untitled Battletoads game.
I am on board for that. Give me some more of that bike level goodness.
Yeah. I guess that's it. Mario Kart Tour. Oh, it's an iOS game.
No. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
Pass.
All right.
Hard pass.
Garrett, don't you have a phone?
I love the fact that we didn't mention Diablo Immortal as the most anticipated game of all time. is a tragedy.
Wait, hold on. We gotta do a whole keynote around this and make this our giant ending, like our
Wait, you
ending
guys
statement.
don't have phones?
Oh, that's fine. That was the first annual split screen Cynics Game of the Year
Game of the award of years.
Game of the Year voting.
We award stuff. We have opinions.
Gamer Truck Steak, you are getting a giant cookie cake, and you will
You have to eat the whole thing, otherwise you lose. You lose the category.
Otherwise, you lose your game of the your comment of the year status.
So yeah,
and Chris, I will send you your cookies.
You get a cookie too, and Tim gets a cookie because he doesn't know any commenters.
Everyone gets cookies for everyone. If you look under your seat, there's actually a cookie underneath your seat.
It's really old. I'm sorry. One's a Malamar. That's technically a cookie. Wrap up.
Really?
Let's do it. Fuck it.
All right.
Malamar. I think Malamars are a cookie.
I don't know.
Are they?
Yeah.
What qualifies as
pastry?
a cookie?
I don't know. There's a cookie in there with like a marshmallow on top. That's a cookie with a topping that's been dipped.
It's a cookie that's been.
It's either its own category. It's a cookie. Whatever.
It's a Malamar.
So guys, if you,
they're amazing.
They only come out in certain times for some reason. I don't know why. If you are still listening, what a mistake. But thank you. This is Split Screen Cynics.
I hope you enjoyed
15.
this Malamar tangent.
Game of the Year awards we're gonna have to come up with a title. Thank you so much. Keep in mind, next episode, 2 weeks from now, we're doing Celeste. We're gonna do Split Screen Cynics Game Club. If you want to join in, please do. Apparently, it's a great game. Berto actually chose it for his indie game of the year, so definitely worth playing.
Absolutely.
We're gonna play it. We're gonna talk about it. Please, please, please reach out to us. Let us know what you think, what you want us to talk about it, that we're dumb, whatever you want. Also, if you want to reach out to us about our terrible opinions on 2018, please come at us with
Get yourself in the running for comment of the year 2019.
Yeah, comment of the year is already heating up at a whole 0,
or
whatever.
We're accepting we're now accepting comments for 2019.
Yeah.
Do you have what it takes to win a cookie? Let us know.
Let's see. Couple shout outs. If you want to see me stream very not occasionally rather, twitch.tv/Garrett gets into. Berto, you want to do some shout outs?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Albie, the one and only, ALBIETHA, the number 1, NONLY. You could also follow us at Split Screen Cynics on Twitter. SPLITSCRNSYNICS. Yep, I got that right. And splitscreencynics.com. Check us out on the old interwebs. Leave us all your comments and get your cookies.
Tim, why don't you play us out?
Shout outs to Nino Kuni 2. It's a really good game.
You should honestly get the collector's edition. Get the mobile.
They won
app.
an award.
Definitely get the mobile app because that mobile gameplay that's just right in the middle of the game. Definitely good.
Hey, Nino Kuni 2, they're an award winner tonight.
Look forward to Nino Kuni 3, Rise of the Bullshit Difficulty, coming to you in 2020 or something.
That's the really, really clever and unique game mechanics.
Look at all these other games we put in our game and got rid of the one thing that made our first game good.
It's a game made up of games. You like games? We got tons of games.
Hey, it worked for Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Oh wait, it didn't. That game sucked.
Shots fired.
Thank you once again, everybody, for listening. We will catch you in 2 weeks. Go play Celeste. It's worth it. We hope. Berto says it is.
Play game.
Keep on.
It's amazing.
Gaming. We'll see ya. Happy holidays. Peace.
Take it easy.
Take it easy, guys. We love you.